Hello, 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 and welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. This is the show where we discuss the mindset, tactics, and tools to become a successful foreclosure investor. On this show, we're going to talk about, it's Valentine's Day, or we just missed Valentine's Day. We're going to talk about how to fall in love with the foreclosure market. Focus on the data. Going to be a great show. Stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host, Donnie Corum, and the Foreclosure Deals Coach. Once again, this is the show where we try to spend some time discussing the mindset, tactics, and tools necessary to become a successful real estate investor. Guys, here's the thing. A lot of people bring emotion into the real estate world, right? And the reality of it is you really have to be careful not to do that to yourself, okay? The thing about it is real estate, like most financial things, are really based off of the data. You have to know what's happening with the data to be realistic. Obviously, I have a lot of ads out there for the foreclosure profit system where we discuss what's going on with the market. And people are always like, well, I'm not seeing that many foreclosures. I don't know, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Well, I'm really looking at the data, and you have to pay for good data. Okay, there's some free data sources out there, but as with anything, you kind of get what you pay for. Okay, so a lot of people come to me with the desire to get into this, but don't realize that if you don't go and look at this from a data perspective, you're going to end up looking at it instead from a emotional perspective. You're going to look at what the press is saying. That's the kiss of death, right? You're going to look at what your buddy, the real estate agent, is telling you about the market. If you really want to deep dive, you have to work very closely to hop in and get the foreclosure data that's out there, because that's going to tell you what's actually happening in the market. So, this show, like all of them, I have a sponsor for the show, but today's show is brought to you by Traction Capital. And Traction Capital is our hard money lending division where we find necessary capital for investors. If you're trying to get a loan for a property, okay, you're generally going to go to a lending institution. A lot of people make the mistake of going to the bank. Okay, well, banks don't understand how real estate investing works. They want to do conventional mortgages for conventional people who are going to live in conventional houses, right? And they're going to live in the property and keep it for the life of the loan, or at least a very much longer period, okay? Investors are everything opposite about real estate investing. When you're trying to get a hard money loan, you can't wait on conventional underwriting. You've got to move extremely quickly. You've got to get the money in place. At Traction Capital, we can fund deals at as little as 7 to 10 business days. So if you've got a hot deal on the horizon right now, you're going to want to head out to trackcap.com. That's TRACCAP.com. You're going to want to fill out that application form. You see here, there's a giant blue button, or you can click on the Get Started, but apply now for funding. Put all your deal specifics in, and then one of my top-notch brokers at TrackCap is going to reach out to you, get the funding secured that you need so you can get your deal done without delaying and trying to figure out normal bank financing. When the banks say no, Traction Capital definitely says yes. We can help you to get traction in your real estate investing. All right, let's get back to it and start talking about falling in love with the data. So where is this data? Okay, well, the data is located at various sources that you can find publicly available, but you generally have to pay for the best data. Isn't that always the case, right? Don't you have to make an investment to get into things? When people start thinking about paying for data, they get a little skittish. Like, why would I, all this data should be available for free, right? Why am I locating data and why am I paying for it? Well, the reason you want to pay for it is because the best data is scoured by the best data sources. Seems kind of obvious, but people take that for granted, okay? What you want to do, one of my best data sources is Atom Data Solutions. So we're going to hop in real quick, and I'm going to help you to fall in love with the data. And the reason you want to fall in love with data, okay, is because the more you understand what the real estate market is doing in real time, not the theory, but if you can spot the trends in anything, right? If you knew for certain that the tech sector was going to go up, right, you would put a bunch of money into a tech sector stock. Can we know anything for certain? We can't, but what we can know is what direction it's heading. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is not the most recent one, because most recent stuff comes at a cost. But with Atom Data Solutions, a lot of people are like, I'm not seeing this surge in foreclosure activity. Well, there most certainly is a surge in foreclosure activity. U.S. foreclosure activity sees a monthly increase in July of 24. Foreclosure starts increase 18% from last month. So that means in 1 month, we saw an 18% increase, and we're talking about the national real estate market. And this started way back in July of 2024. Okay. And then the completed foreclosure increased 14%. What we have right now, guys, is the lock-in effect is preventing a lot of people from selling their homes. And what the lock-in effect is, for those who don't know, is because a lot of people got really low interest rate loans back in 2020 and 2021. They now are faced with, if they wanted to upgrade to another home, okay, which a lot of people want for a variety of reasons, or if they wanted to downgrade to another home because the kids have moved out of the house and they no longer need this big property, they not only have to face the higher cost of housing right now, they also have to face the fact that they don't have the interest rates that they have on their current property. So their payment's going to go up drastically for this smaller home, or if they do upgrade to a larger home, it's going to go up even more. Most people have not seen their incomes increase in line with that necessary increase, so they're not looking to move. This is keeping inventory low. But the bigger effect in foreclosure data that's indicated by this report here is that when the Biden administration was in place, there's a whole bunch of legislation that was passed around the COVID timeframe to put a moratorium on foreclosures. At the surface, it makes sense. If the entire country is unemployed, you don't want to also take their homes from them, right? So that did make a ton of sense. However, they didn't pull those moratoriums off soon enough because we didn't really know when COVID was going to end. And then, dealing with government bloat was just a normal thing. There were several months, if not a full year, before they even started the moratorium, or they turned the moratorium off and even made foreclosures legal. So you have this 2-year gap where you couldn't foreclose at all, right? Then you had this natural government delay that took another year or so. So you've got 3 years of foreclosure activity during bad economic times that were basically stalled. What they're calling that market is the zombie foreclosure market. And Atom Data is arguing that zombie foreclosure market could make up upwards of 70% of what should be foreclosed is in bankruptcy protection, is in moratorium protection, or is just in lender delay. Okay, that's a lot of housing units. Nationwide, 1 in every 4,414 housing units had a foreclosure filing. 1 in 4,000. Think about that. That's not even 1%. It seems small, but when you're looking at how many houses there are in the market, that's a lot of houses that are currently in a foreclosure filing. Okay. And the biggest states that we're seeing the highest foreclosure rates: Delaware, 1 in every 2,214 units; Nevada, 1 in every 2,200 or so units; and Utah, 1 in every almost 2,300 units. Okay. That's a lot of foreclosure filings in those areas. Obviously, Colorado's not seeing as many foreclosure filings as some of those states, but we are definitely seeing a notable increase in foreclosure filings in the Colorado market and in pretty much every market in the US right now. One of the more alarming statistics is that a lot of first-year mortgages, a higher percentage than usual of first-year mortgages, are currently in default. What's causing that? Well, the increase of everything else, right? If everything in your life costs more, suddenly it gets harder to make that mortgage payment, right? So a lot of people who've got mortgages at the higher rates in the last 2 years, and in the last year alone, we've seen a huge amount of default in that market. All of this seems very frightening if you're a common retail buyer. And as a result of that fear, a lot of people are afraid to buy houses right now because affordability is at all-time lows related to where it's been over the last couple of years. So Atom Data is one area where I get articles. You can get percentages of foreclosure filings, lots of stuff you can get. But I also love this tool called Reventure. The Reventure app is real estate focused, and I would highly recommend checking out the Reventure YouTube channel. The guy who does that channel provides so much incredible data about what's happening in the market right now. But just like I'm reflecting here, we are definitely seeing a big trend where it's getting harder to sell houses. Days on market is taking longer, and you can very quickly hop into the Reventure app here. You can go into your area. I usually search for El Paso County, Colorado, because that's where I'm based out of, right? But we can hop in there. Oh, we got to search here. My fault. Here we go. El Paso County, Colorado. Oh, I hit Texas. We don't want to be in Texas. Nobody wants to be in Texas. Sorry, Texas. I'm kidding. Right. All right. So right out of the gate here, what are we looking at? Days on market growth, 15%. Right. In January of 24, it was 60 days on market. Here in 25 in El Paso County, we're at 69 days on market. What is far more alarming about the data is how many homes are facing price cuts, right? Total inventory in the market is up at 2965, but 25%, 1 in 4 houses are cutting their price right now to try to be more competitive in a market where they're not selling a ton of them, right? Affordability is one of the biggest things. That's what's really driving a lot of this. Affordability is at really low rates right now, but to really look at that, you want to go what the average price of a home in the area is. $453,000 in the El Paso County right now, and that is down substantially. I know that peaked out nearing the early 5s. It's now in the 450s. Home values have grown a little bit, but 0.7%, whereas we should see a pretty consistent 2 or 3% annual growth in housing. So really what we want to see is how many houses, according to the AI, mind you, are currently overvalued. 14% of them. Okay, so you've got a huge amount of homes that are overpriced and houses are not moving. But you know, this can take you down a rabbit hole for hours. Like I can spend hours and hours on this site because I love the data. I'm in love with the real estate data because I know it's showing weakness in the market, and that weakness translates into great opportunities for the real estate investor. So it is boring, right? It's not the most exciting topic to start talking about real estate investing, much like analyzing a stock or analyzing the bond market, right? That doesn't excite a lot of people, and I understand that. But if you can fall in love with the foreclosure market, you're going to be in a very unique position to benefit from it financially when the foreclosure wave hits. You don't want to be one of these people that's going, I don't see any foreclosures. Everything looks normal. Housing market seems normal. Guys, you got to study the data. You got to fall in love with the data, because if you can date the data and spend a lot of time with the data and fall in love with it, when the crisis is there, you will already have the systems in place to benefit from this. Now, I need to take you on a flashback. Okay, let's go back to 2007, 2008. In 2007, I was just I was actually working in the IT field. Okay, so my full-time job was in information technology. I worked for a software company and tech support at the time that I transitioned into sales for a while, etc. While there, I met a guy who was also interested in investing. And this is kind of a critical thing. You remember that saying your parents said, you're going to become the people you hang out with eventually, right? And we're like, nah, man, like he's cool. Like I'm not gonna become that guy. Well, it's true, right? If you hang out with people who are doing things, you're gonna do those things eventually. That's for better or for worse, right? If you're hanging out with positive people, they're gonna drive you to do positive results. Well, I was hanging out with a positive guy at my office who, although he was a worker bee and wanted the stability of a day job, he also had an interest in real estate investing like I did, right? So we combined that interest. I remember we were sitting on our cube farm working on tech support issues when his name was Greg, and Greg yelled over the partition. He's like, hey, Don, you know what I've always wanted to do? I'm like, no, Greg, what have you always wanted to do? I've always wanted to flip a house. I'm like, man, I've always wanted to flip a house too, right? Positive connection with people who are like-minded. Well, that conversation planted a seed in my head. You can't tell me about a concept and not expect me to act on it. That's how I'm wired, right? Once I see an opportunity, I go after it. So in a very short period of time, and I mean a matter of weeks, we took that concept from the idea, because I didn't have the credit or the money to do a deal on my own. I had to partner with somebody who had something I didn't have to get the deal done. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, that is the essence of the foreclosure profit system. You want to get into real estate investing, but you're not exactly certain how to get started, where you're going to find the deal, how you're going to analyze the deal, how are you going to get from the vision to the reality. Let's keep going. So I find this deal. We managed to do everything wrong. Okay, we bought an old style Victorian house in downtown Colorado Springs, 439 East Bijou. I will literally never forget my first deal because it changed my life. But despite doing everything wrong, managed to walk out of that deal with $17,846.32. But more importantly, it completely changed the trajectory of my life. I looked at my job differently. I looked at the income I made from my day job as this thing I had to do, not this thing I wanted to do. And maybe you feel that way about your job now, or maybe you love your job. In either case, the foreclosure profit system is helping investors to transition into real estate investing, pull more money out of the real estate market by finding, figuring, funding, fixing, and flipping a foreclosure deal. I can help anybody who's got the money and the mindset they need to do a deal to start actively buying. And I gotta tell you, based on what the data is saying, okay, not the feeling of the market. The agents, and I love you agents, and a lot of my good friends are agents, and I was an agent for 18 years, so I get it. But we tend to live in rose-colored glass land as it relates to the market. We tend to want to see the positivity of the market because we're in retail as agents, aren't we? We have to see what it could be, not what it is. And although I appreciate optimism, the reality is you have to meet the market where it is as an investor. You got to be very realistic. You got to take the love affair off of the desire to have a stable real estate market and transition that to what is happening in the market right in this moment. Well, the data, not the feeling, says that foreclosure filings are up across the country. People are having trouble selling their homes. And the problem is going to be exasperated by the fact that there's a bunch of foreclosure inventory that has not been accounted for because it was pushed down the road by the prior administration. I can promise you that those houses are coming to market in the months and maybe years to come. And when they flood the market with those, that's going to have an impact on the market. That's actually be very positive for investors. But wait, it gets better or worse depending on your side of the equation on this. You also have a lot of hedge funds who bought a bunch of properties. The BlackRock's Open Door was out there buying. Zillow bought a whole bunch of properties, and they were going to buy those. Some of them bought the properties to flip. Most of them bought the properties as buy and hold investments. Why? Because the market was going up so rapidly during hyperinflation. Well, those properties are no longer returning what they were returning when they bought them early on because appreciation's kind of stalled out. It's hard to get rental income to keep up with interest rates, so they're not getting as much of a return on investment, and they are starting to offload that inventory onto the market right now. Okay, so you've got two storms of new inventory coming in. True, the lock-in period means that the retail consumer is less likely to sell their homes, but if the market starts getting flooded with distressed inventory from hedge funds who don't want them anymore and foreclosures that have been backlogged, what do you think is going to happen next? Okay, it stands to reason that the data, not the feeling, says that there's going to be quite a few foreclosures coming on the market. Is this bad news? No, not if you're an investor who understands it. The cheaper that these houses get, the more we can buy at a discount, right? And then sell in a downtrending market, which means you're getting less for the property than you would have gotten, but you're also buying it for much, much less than you would have paid for it in an upward moving market, right? One statistic says that when retail comes down 1%, wholesale, or your ability to buy deals, comes down 3 times that, right? So for every 1%, wholesale can move up to 3%. So if retail drops 10%, right, what you can sell it for on the retail market drops 10%, we should be able to buy it for almost 30% cheaper. Think about the power of that. If you've got a system in place to find those deals, analyze them quickly or figure them out, fund them using Traction Capital as your lender, fix them using my team of contractors, and then flip those homes with my team agent that gives you a substantial discount from retail listing agents to sell the property so you keep more profit. Imagine what would happen if you had such a system. Well, you could. The foreclosure profit system does all of that, but you've got to be analyzing the data. You really got to love trend analysis. And you don't have to love it as a common investor, but you need to have somebody on your team who's madly in love with data, right? Fortunately, if you hire me as your coach with the foreclosure profit system, you've got somebody who's madly in love with tracking the real estate data as it happens in real time. It's Valentine's Day. Love, love has been in the air all week, right? Haven't you felt a little bit more in love? Well, you should start loving what's about to happen in the real estate market. You've got to focus on the fact that you've got to get your system set up right now prior to the market hitting where it's going to head. So when it does happen, you're already ready to benefit from it. Okay. Investors who don't set up their systems now are going to be scrambling to locate their contractors. They're going to be scrambling to set up funding to buy these deals. They're going to find themselves in a really bad spot when the foreclosure crisis is really here. And we're not waiting for opportunities. We're finding deals each and every single day for our clients who are making real money buying and selling these foreclosures today. You just got to take the initial step, which is hop on a call, make sure you're the right fit for the foreclosure profit system, and it by application. So you fill out the application, we check out your application, make sure you're the right fit. If you are the right fit, we then do a one-time call. We explain the entire system to you. If it makes sense, the expectation is you're going to sign up for it and start doing deals right here in the Colorado Springs and upcoming Arizona market. And I want to talk about that for just a little bit. I'm actually flying to Arizona tomorrow. We're going out there to start setting up boots on ground to get our systems dialed in down there. What I really need in every market, guys, is a construction coordinator, a project coordinator who can visit it. Our project managers are remote, so they work from all over the country, but we need somebody who's boots on ground who can see the property physically. So we bring somebody in there, and then we need an acquisition person, somebody who can scout the properties when we're in the acquisition phase, take the pictures and photos, and help us with the negotiations to get it done. But the foreclosure profit system can't operate at any market in the country. We're just looking at the markets that have the highest hotbed of foreclosure activity. And to be perfectly honest, I'm a little tired of winter here in Colorado. I love it here in the spring and summertime, but this time of year, it's just hard on me now. I don't enjoy the process of being cold as much as I used to. So we're setting up shop down in the Arizona market. So my clients are going to be doing deals in both the Colorado market and the Arizona market. Stay tuned for that. We should be fully operational down there by about the end of second quarter of this year. So that's going to be two markets we're buying actively in Colorado and Arizona. And over time, we may be buying homes right there in your market. But for now, this is a fully remote system because the data suggests that we can find the best deals in the market where we have the most boots on ground. So we are focusing on the Colorado market today. So wherever you're located in the country, we're buying deals right here in Colorado Springs and Pueblo because that's where my deal flow is. That's where I can provide the maximum value to my clients as far as deals. But this is not one of those guru systems that's there to discuss maybe we're going to do a deal, maybe you're going to make a profit. When you sign up for the system, you're guaranteed you're going to make at least $25K on at least one deal, but hopefully we're going to do several deals together. Amounting to 4 deals per year is my target for each client at an average profit of $25,000 or $100K in extra income that you can utilize for your family. So getting off the pitch a little bit, the data shows that we are seeing an increase in foreclosure activity. The fact that there's not foreclosures on the market today is not an indication that you should wait until there are foreclosures on the market to decide to start foreclosure investing, but rather that because we're seeing a tick up in filings, it's like predicting the future of what the foreclosure market's going to be. And so now is the best time to set up your system to take advantage of that. Back in the day, I wish I'd had somebody to tell me that. I had a real estate investment coach and I was doing deals in 2007 and 2008. But effectively what happened is because I didn't have the capital to bring to the game back then, I was helping to make other people rich. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not complaining. I learned the market from the inside in one of several crises along the way, making me one of the most devout professionals in the foreclosure arena. So you got to cut your teeth somewhere. Or you can hire an expert like I did when I got my coach to help me navigate the choppy waters and start making money a lot faster than learning the market over 20 years. The choice is yours, but I chose to help other people get wealthy, to cut my teeth in it. It was an opportunity to gain knowledge about the market. In exchange, now I can pass that knowledge along to my current clientele and help you to build wealth and find financial time and location freedom through foreclosure investing. The data says it's going to happen. We just got to get behind the data and start making the decisions we need to make to be prepared for the upcoming foreclosure crisis. It is going to happen. I'd love for you to benefit from it financially, personally, and otherwise. All right. So that's kind of our show for today, guys. It's exciting to me because I love what I do, but obviously the last 2 years in real estate investing have been tough. Seasoned investors and new investors alike have really struggled to produce returns because the market's been trending in sideways for a while, down in certain stints. It's very hard to predict the market when there's so much government interaction, so much fear in the market. We're not necessarily seeing stability, but we're starting to understand what direction the market is trending. And I think we can all agree it's going to be down for a while. This is actually really good news for the private investor. It's like being able to buy things on sale. Don't you wish you could have bought a bunch of houses in the 80s when you could buy a house in Colorado Springs for $40,000 or $50,000? Would you go back and buy all those houses again? Of course you would, right? Are we going to dip that far down? We are not. I can promise you're not going to see that level of devastation. But what I can tell you is you're going to see a slight dip, and there's going to be a lot of money to be made during that dip if you can get involved, have the right systems people in place, which can be not much easier. It is simply the only way you're going to be able to do this as cost effectively is with the foreclosure profit system, right? You could probably figure this out on your own, but you'll never be as effective. You can't do it as inexpensively, and you can't do it as efficiently as a team of experts that I've assembled to help investors just like you to consistently make a profit doing deals. Okay. So if you'd like to talk about that, fill out the application at foreclosureprofitsystem.com. There's no cost to determine if it's the right fit for you. We'll hop on a call together, talk about it. If it's the right fit, I'll give you the details of what the system costs you, and we'll get you started in foreclosure investing immediately. That's our show. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. The opportunity's there, guys. You just got to get out of your head. Got to stop listening to the pundits. Stop listening to the mindset, guys. The real estate market is not fine, but the opportunities are there because it's not fine. Now is the time to hop in and start making money. With that, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. Thanking you so much for tuning in each and every single week to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, and reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.